Welcome to Flagler County Bible Baptist Institute, or Baptist Bible Institute, FCBBI, and we're going through American Sign Language. And welcome back after a little hiatus. We were off for a couple weeks, Thanksgiving, all that kind of stuff. So we are back, and this is week 9. So if you've got your syllabus, we're on week 9. So we're going to go ahead and open up with prayer, and we'll get started. Dear Heavenly Father, God, I thank you for this day. I thank you for another opportunity to come to your house, to come to the Bible Institute, to be able to learn ASL and help me to teach it, help me to impart knowledge in ways that can be understood, be clear, precise, and that help the students here that they learn, put the practice in, and then be able to use this in their life. I pray that all that's done tonight is in your name. In Jesus' name, amen. All right, so does everybody remember the Romans Road stuff? Basically, I remember the references.
Is that right?
That you forgot. Yep, forgot. Wipe it out of your head. All right, so we'll go back over. So what we were going to do starting next week is Romans Road in practice. So there's going to be a lot of just saying it back and forth to each other. All right, so hopefully by next week you've watched the videos several times, and you kind of got a grasp on all those different verses, right? All right, so do you know Romans 10:13? Okay, so let's do this together. Romans chapter 10, verse 13. For whosoever shall call on the name of the Lord shall be saved. Shall be saved. This is be and are. It's basically that helping verb. Saved. Very good. Now, and then Romans 5:8. Romans chapter 5, verse 8. But God commendeth his love toward us in that while we yet sinners, Christ died for us. All right, you got it? All right, so you have to practice those on your own because that's a lot to take in this class. You just have to kind of run them through your head. You think through the signs. You don't have to actually sign it. You kind of think through the signs. You watch the video, think through the signs, practice in the mirror, and then next week we'll start actually practice saying it to each other. So, and then we'll get to the point where you'll lead one of us to the Lord. Wouldn't that be nice? You're like, do you know Jesus in your heart? You go ahead, question. All right, so we're on page 362. And we're going, we got a lot to cover tonight, so I don't know if we're going to have a lot of dialogue because there's a lot of signs to go over. So we're going to break down the dialogue on page 370. So simple yes or no questions. Do you guys remember? How do you put together a simple yes or no question? Well, yeah. So how would you put it together? What's the sentence structure for a simple yes or no question? Don't everybody's hands go up at the same time? Topic question? Yes. Anybody else?
Question.
Yes. Very good. It doesn't matter, right? You, student. Student, you. Either one works, right? Because it's a very simple yes or no question. And if you think you is a pronoun, so student is the topic, and what asks the question? How do we know that was a question? You, student, that could be just a statement, right? It's the facial expressions. You tilt your head forward, you raise your eyes about it. Or student, you. All right. Now, topic comment. So So when we make topic comments, there's 5 sentences that are topic comments. So what do we do with a topic comment sentence? We start with the, it's literally in the title, guys. Topic, very good. So we start with the topic, and then we make the comment about it. So, me, name. Now, me name doesn't sound right. It should be really my name because you possess it, but the sentence does say me. Me name, and the comment is Bob. That's me name, Bob. So topic is me name, and the comment is Bob. So me name is Caleb or Joshua, because it sounded like you started spelling Caleb, right? Oh, you spelled Bob. Okay. Totally didn't get that. All right. Shannon, very good. Now, you'll realize I don't spell well, so I'm kind of guessing what you're spelling. That's frap. Yeah, keep your K up. P is down. K is up. All right. Very good. Very good. All right, so that's me name. Next. Now again, topic, your class. So this is not a question. We're talking about your class. Now, we do it this way because possessive, this would be you class. Your class, comment, me take up. Me take up. That means I'm going to take her class. So, ready together? Your class, C's, class, me take up. Okay. Now, my brother. Now, why did I do that? My brother. Now, that's my brother. That spot right there is my brother. So, me, brother. He, deaf. Right? So, my brother. He, deaf. Topic, comment. Me, small. Now, you follow this. This is interesting, right? Because we're still talking about who? My brother. Where's my brother? Over there. So, me, small, teach me. So what's the sign for teach? Teach, right? But now I'm saying, teach me. So what I'm saying is, he, teach me, by doing it like this. Because it's coming from his direction, where he's at, to me, and then remember I said I was small, so he teach me. Where if I say he teach me, that means he's teaching me now, because I'm big. But so I said, me small, he teach me. That means he taught me when I was little. So that's kind of what I just signed there. He taught me when I was young. All right, so all that's kind of mixed in. Perception, where you're signing at, where you're pointing your sign, where the sign's coming from, where the sign's going, all that's important. All right, my brother. Of course, if he's already over here, we can just say this, right? My brother. Engineer. Same. So I want to be an engineer like my brother. All right, now information-seeking questions. How do we line those up? How do we build an information-seeking question? What do we start with? Topic. And then we have the question. Information-seeking questions normally have what kind of question? Hey, smarty pants. All right, WH. All right, so when, where, how, what, why, all those things. So when we do those kind of sentences, you're going to say topic, you learn ASL, question, how? How? So together, you learn ASL. How? Then your brother live where? Live where? All right? So let me ask you this question. How do we build a sentence? What are the parts of in the ASL sentence? Do you remember? What's the first thing? Time, tense. Time, tense. So future, past, now. We can leave it off if it's present tense, right? If it's past tense for the whole sentence, we add it on. If it's future tense for the whole sentence, we add it on the front. Then we have the topic. What are we talking about? Then we have the comment. Normally comes after the topic, the comment. The comment is what the thing is doing. It's the verb of the sentence. Topic is usually the subject. The comment is usually the verb. What sometimes attached to the comment? What? No. No. It's a trick one. This is a tricky one. What gets attached to the comment sometimes? The tense adverb. The tense adverb. So let's say if the whole sentence is present tense, but just the verb is in the past tense, that's when we add on a past tense, like finished. Mom, I've already done my chores. So, Mom, chores, me, finished. So I've added that finished is a timed adverb to the job is done, right? So that sometimes adds on there if we're talking specifically in past tense verbs. Then after comment is close. There's one last part of speech. I usually end almost every sentence like this. Pronoun, you, me, you. Pronoun, and then the question, right? So now we have what the part of speech we call pronominalization. Okay, does anybody remember what that means? A pronominalization means when we set the stage. Okay, I say, my brother. This right here is the pronominalization. I've just set my brother up. My sister, that's pronominalization. If I say, your class, that's a pronominalization. Because what I did is I set her class right here. If I say, this church, now that church is here. And now I said, when you come here, this church is nice. This church is friendly. So I don't have to say it again, because I've set the stage. That now this is the pronoun for church. I know it's weird, but that's pronominalization. So I'm setting the stage. I'm setting things in places where I can reference it back without having to say the word over and over and over again.
So would you say, you're talking about some preaching, and you say the Bible, so instead of keeping saying the Bible said this, the Bible said that, would you be like?
Yes. So what I have normally, if I have my Bible next to me, I said the Bible's on like a podium right here. The Bible says, and I say, you need to read, you need to learn, you need to follow. This is important. The Bible is important, and I can just keep going and pointing to that, and it just becomes. So in my brain, it works like a programming language. I know it's weird, but I use variables. So I set a variable, and I can use the variable anywhere I want. And then I can just reference the variable all the way through my code, and I don't have to keep repeating the word over and over and over again through all that code. And that way, if I ever have to change it, the church moved. Now I don't have to go over and over and over again and change every time I reference that thing. It's just now over there. So that's how pronominalization works in my brain. It's setting the stage, right? And then ordering of simple sentences, like simple yes or no questions. Simple sentences are really simple. You don't even have to worry about this big, long sentence structure. You just, he, live, Boston. He, engineer. All right, so signs. What's the sign for brother? Brother. Why is it from up here? Father, uncle, boy. It's all up here. Grandfather. The lady signs, feminine signs are down here. Mom, woman. Aunt. Grandma. Sister. All right. And then there's a neat trick where when I'm talking about you, when you sign brother, that's 1. 2 brothers. 3 brothers. 4 brothers. 5 brothers. 6 brothers. So you can count your brothers. I have 10 brothers. That one's kind of hard to mix them both. But I have 5 brothers. And it just puts it all at one sign. And so you can kind of incorporate things like that. All right. Then there's the sign cool. All right. I've seen multiple ways of doing this. This is one. This is cool. And this is cool. But the way I've seen it is this is cool. This is neat. Neat. So it's just a little different, but it basically means the same thing, right? And, you know, like we used to say radical, right? You know, before they said groovy, you know, it's all same thing. All right, so Boston is a city, okay? I believe most cities have their own sign name, but there's no way that I'm going to learn all the sign names for all the cities that ever existed. So Boston, I think is a sign name, Boston. But this is Brazil. And this is Chicago, but it's also Christmas. So this is Texas. And this is a sign, it's a joke sign for, I think it may be the real sign name, but, you know, can you think about what the city name is at? No? Think about it. Well, that's loser. But what is this? What's this? What did the L do? El Paso?
Okay.
El Paso. So that's El Paso.
I just like the locals.
Yeah. So when I was preaching down there, I said Yosemite,
Would Orlando be like this?
Orlando, because of movies.
Oh, okay.
I think,
Oh, okay.
because this is video and they do Orlando, but Yosemite. I was talking about going to, and the guy goes Yosemite. So that's the sign name for it. I had no idea, but as I spelled it, the person that lived there or had been there knew the sign. He said Yosemite, so he gave me that sign, but I didn't know it before. Small. Okay, so is the difference between stature, small, and a small thing, right? So when I was small, or when I was young, you can also say that, when I was little, and this is small, like a small object. And then he teach me. So he teach me, he teach me, she teach me. So, and then God teach me. So again, depending on which direction you're going and where your hands end up, all determine what the sentence is saying. All right, so other ASL synonyms, sign, same. This also means to, T-O-O, and also. So and again, where it starts from and where it's going, all determines, like her and I are the same. We're all the same, right? Engineer, it can also be for drafting and measuring. So it's kind of that. Yeah. Live. Now, they do, some signs in the book, you'll see this is live. I do live like this because this is address. And they don't necessarily mean the same thing all the time. Doesn't mean I'm right, it's just the way I do it because it's the way my brain works. So some deaf don't do it both this way, and some do it this way, and some do it both this way. So it just kind of depends on who you're talking to. Teach is also educate. Now, teach, educate, ed. So I've seen that different, ed. Instruct and instruction. And then cool, neat, awesome. All right. We'll move on to the next section. We just finished with 372, and we're headed over to 381. We're about to learn a bunch of family signs. All right, so get your hands out, get your fingers warmed up. This is going to be a lot of signing. We get ready. All right, so boys are where? Up here. Girls are here. So, aunt. Nope, it's down here. Sorry, aunt. Cousin. Now, here's the trick. Is it a male cousin or female cousin? Female cousin, male cousin. And it's funny, male cousin is pretty close to crazy. Huh. Okay. Father, grandfather, and then the more you go out is the more grades you add on it. So that the more hops you put on that is the more grades to go out. Grandmother, from here, grandmother. So 2, grandmother, and then great. Mother, nephew, and N up here, niece, and down here, husband. So this means married. Okay, so we're married. We had a wedding, and now we're married. So husband would be what? Wife would be, so husband and wife. Right. Uncle, family. F's. Yep. You'll notice any type of grouping is done kind of like this. So group, team, class, family, it's all. All right, so now we're going to learn some city names. Why they picked these, I don't know. Atlanta, Baltimore, city, Edmonton, Houston, Los Angeles, so LA, Miami, I don't know why, Montreal, New Orleans, New York, Ottawa, Philadelphia. It's P, Philadelphia. Yeah, Philadelphia. Pittsburgh. But it's funny because this is the sign for benefit. So I don't know why Pittsburgh says benefit. Rochester, we're basically doing the same thing again, R. Seattle, we're shaking the S. And then Vancouver. And then Washington, this is Washington. And this is DC. You're just spelling it. All right, and now we're going to talk about professions, different jobs. Carpenter. Now remember, all of these have a at the end, right? So, but we're not going to add it. We're just going to carpenter, right? Carpenter. Computer analyst. So computer, so C up the arm, analyst. This means to analyze or to dig deep into something, to inspect it. So you're taking it and you're pulling things apart. Okay. Doctor, D on your pulse. Nurse, N on the pulse. Farmer, so basically we just say farmer. Janitor, lawyer. This is law. So this is job. Job. Pilot. Flyer. This is plumber. So this is start, and this is plumb. Scientist. And secretary or receptionist. One finger, like this, remember the old thing where they lick the tip of the pen? You see that in old movies, right? They kind of, and they take a note. I think that's what it's mimicking, right, is taking the note. All right, so we're in chapter 10, and we're going to talk about something called role shifting. All right. Role shifting is basically when you're signing, there's going to be many times that you're going to be holding a conversation. Like, let's say I was going to tell Brother Jeremy about a conversation I had with a deaf missionary down in Orlando. The only way Jeremy's going to know who's doing the talking, right? I said this, and then he said that. How complicated that would become without role shifting. So what role shifting is a way for me to say, this is one person, this is another person. And this is one way of role shifting. So role shifting allows me to do that, where I can actually differentiate by how I moved my body to establish who is doing the speaking at any given point in time. Like when we're going to be doing that cantata down in Orlando. Tammy and I we don't know how many people, we don't know if there's a drama. So if there's 4 people talking, she's going to have to roll shift twice, and we're going to have to keep up by voice alone. These are your 2 voices, and these are my 2 voices. And have to continue to roll shift, because if we get it wrong, then the person watching is going to go, okay, so that other person said this thing, because we got to keep doing the role shifting. So there's different ways to role shift. One is body and gaze shifting. So I just showed you what body was, right? I moved from here, and then I turn like this. I can do, a movement over here. I can establish a lot of body shifting depending on how much space I have. Preaching is a lot easier because you have a whole platform to set things and do that. And we did that the other day, like Mary and Joseph's way over here, and Jesus was way over there, and all this kind of stuff. So we're able to do that. Sometimes you can't. Sometimes you just have to kind of turn, just literally turn like this. And you have to continue to role shift, especially if you're having a conversation or telling somebody about 2 different people speaking. We can also do that with our eyes. We can shift our eyes back and forth to kind of, he's doing the talking or she's doing the talking if we're in a conversation like over here, down there, up there. And that will all help with your role shifting. So 4 techniques of doing that. So you have one is movement along the horizontal plane. So the horizontal plane is this way, right? So when we can move our body left and right, we can turn our shoulders and not actually move our feet. And it's enough to determine that somebody else is doing the talking. We can turn our head and just do that, or we can just gaze. But once we set that pattern, we got to keep to that, because now we've established that's them and that's them. So that's the first set of role shifting, is across the horizontal plane. And that's really where you have the most options. All right, because the second one is movement along the vertical plane. All right, there's not a lot I can do along a vertical plane, right? I can't get taller. I can't fly. I can't float or levitate. I can get lower. That would be kind of cool, wouldn't it? But I can't. One day, maybe God will call us up. We'll all be flying. That'd be great, just for a little bit at least. I can get lower, but for most part, I'm kind of limited on what I can do. So most of this is going to be gaze and head tilts. So if I'm talking about me as little me, and so now big me is up here. You shouldn't have done that. I know, I'm sorry. So now I've actually role shifted, but I've done it both horizontally but also vertically. And also that helps to differentiate between ages, sizes. I can say, God is talking to me. You want me to what? I want you to do this. So you can do that, and where you're kind of role shifting your gaze vertically to help differentiate between the things. Then we can do positions related to directional movements. All right, so this is a little bit easier. This is on page 400. This is not really much to do with your body moving, but more to do with the movement of your hands. All right, so if I set my brother over here and my sister over here, he asked her. So that's a role shift. She helped him. She helped him. So that's a role shift. And so the person in the conversation watching it can understand that she helped him. So if I said, she helped him, you can say it that way. That's kind of boring. And it might be misunderstood. So if I say, she helped him, that in one sign. So I didn't have to do 3 signs. I did 1 sign, and it's just 1 sign with the vertical movement with just my hands. Please. Why that's in a vertical movement, I don't know. And then comparisons. All right, so when we're talking about comparisons, the visual and spatial qualities of ASL provide convenient means of making comparisons. This is done by locating objects in the signing space. And basically what we're talking about here is I can show this dog I had before. He was a good dog. That dog, mean. So now, I was like, so now I don't have to do much else. I've already established good dog, bad dog. But on top of that, I've also established my feelings toward the different dogs. And now I don't even have to reference that anymore. And so now I can just do that. And everybody knows what I'm talking about. The bad dog I don't like, right? So that's kind of a comparison quality where, God, I love God. The devil, and in normality for interpreting biblical settings, God is always on the right and the devil's always on the left. So, and God is always up and the devil's always down. And the cross is always to the right and hell is always to the left. So that's easy to remember that when if you ever were interpreting right, left, good, bad. So good things would be this way, bad things would be over there. And you can kind of keep it like that. All right, so any questions about role shifting? No? Okay. I know it was a really short and it's really more of a information dump.
Well, that makes sense. That would be the only way you could explain that it's not you just saying everything.
And these 2 people, and then keeping track of who said what, because I can't, like in a book, you can read the quote, he said, and then quote, and every time the quote stops and opens, somebody else is doing the talking. You can do that in a book. And when he's talking, like he's preaching, you'll hear him sometimes change voices to give different pitches to people doing the talking. Well, you can do that for hearing, but you can't do that for deaf. There is no pitch change. So you have to do the role shifting to enable, just to make it clear, because you want to be very clear. When you're talking, especially when you're saying Jesus said this, and then the sinner said this, and then you get them mixed up somewhere in the middle. Now, the deaf didn't realize you mixed it up. Now all of a sudden, Jesus is talking about going to hell, and the sinner is talking about saving people, and they're confused. So role shifting is important for that. All right. Now, the time. So in lesson 11, we're going to talk about time. So past tense dialogues. Now remember what we talked about, building the sentence. What's the first thing in many sentences? Time, tense, right? So the different tenses, we have things like yesterday, tomorrow. So yesterday, so let's sign this together. Yesterday, Yesterday. So that's not signed right. Yeah. This is tomorrow. This is yesterday. Now, I think what they're doing is this, but I've never seen it with an A. Doesn't mean it's not right. It's just I'm used to doing it with a Y, probably because that's more of a pigeon thing. Yesterday, yeah, yesterday and tomorrow. So back is the past, that way is the future. So you can't say yesterday, because that makes sense. This would be tomorrow, because that's in the future. Yeah, I'll see you tomorrow. Now, not under here, because that I'll see you not. Tomorrow. And this is deny. So I see you deny. Deny, 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 deny. All right. So yesterday, do what? You. So again, tense. Then it's a simple yes, simple question, right? Do what you, question. Then you could also say you do what? Because it's a simple question, right? We just added a tense to the front of it. And then when we respond, it's a simple topic, comment, sentence. But we put a tense in front of it. Yesterday, me, book, read. You could say, yesterday, book, me, read. You could say, yesterday, read, book, me. Or you could say, yesterday, read, me, book. Because it's all basically, it's interchangeable at this point. It's whatever's comfortable in this simple sentence. So yesterday, me, read, book. That's probably what I would have signed. But to stay with formality, it should be yesterday, me, book, topic, read, comment. That's the verb. So if you just stay in that format, you'll be safe. All right, so past tense verbs, or past tenses, signs. Signs we use for past tense. Before. 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 All right, so there's a difference here because this is before as well. All right, so what we're talking about is, did you come in before her? Yes. I arrived before you. More of a earlier type thing, in the past. So this is before, like in a line or in a listing of things, where this is like earlier or before, like a timeline. All right, so before and before, or in the past. Now, you can also do, okay, what that means is a long, long time ago. See how we bounced the grandfathers and grandmothers? That kind of gives it a plus, 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 plus. But that's kind of the same thing we're doing here, way back. All right. Then we have recently. Recently. All right. So you put it on chin and just recently. Yeah. Make sure you do this way, because the other way is not a word you want to use. All right. Recently. This is one where every time I go to say recently, I have to stop and go. Okay, it's pointing the right way. Recently, all right? It's not a bad word, it's just make people blush. All right, and then up till now. So this is up till now. So basically, it's all this till now. There's others like this. This is since. So since you left. So this is all the time from the past till now. Since, and this is wow. So from now to the future. So while we're waiting for you, since we had to wait for you, those are other tense words. But this is up till now, up till now. And then, let's see, today. So these are present tense words. Today, now. Now, you could say today, but this is the noun for day, right? So it's not really a tense. Now is a time. So today, you can also say present, present. So if this is present, this is here. So here. All right, and then future tenses. We have Future. This is also the sign for will. I will do something. This is will as in God's will. Like God's will. Because these are all command. This is command, law, rule, God's will. But this is will as in something will happen. It's also the sign we use for shall. Right? Shall happen. So in English, we use, especially in the Bible, we have shall and will. There's really no functional difference in sign language, even though there is technically in one is something that will happen and something that's already decided and will happen. So a decision of the will. It's a little bit different, but later. 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 So you can also say, see you later. And I've also like later, because this is technically later, because it's like the clock, later, but you can later. And then from now on. From now on. So from right now, going forward, from now on. All right, so now the sign, this says in a while, but it literally is the same sign as later. So I don't know why they differentiated it. So you can say later, see you later, or we'll do that later. You know, I do that with kids all the time. Later, later. So that's what this is kind of meaning. You notice it said from now on. It's also the same sign for after. All right, so this is after, like going to happen in the past. And then, you know, this is something to come to pass is after that. All right, so it's a little different, but for tense, this would be after. And then, weirdly, they put in writing signs into our time section. So, poetry. On page 412, poetry. So, poetry. And it's kind of the same as song. Poetry. It's also the sign for psalms. Poetry. Magazine. Magazine. I think they're doing it like this, with these fingers like this. So that's magazine. And then newspaper. Because this is the sign for print. To print something. So that's newspaper. All right. Now, breaking down the dialogue. The timeline. So the body in the sign space, we have a timeline. It's based off the way our body stands, right? So we kind of talked about this a little bit. Future is that way. The past is that way. That's the timeline. My body is always present. Present time, future time, the past. So that's the timeline. So when you're working with tenses, you understand when you're talking about something that's happening tomorrow or future, it's always going to be that way. If you're talking about something that's going to happen in the past, you're talking about that. No real signs that I know of incorporate the timeline into the verb. I haven't seen that I know of. Could it happen? Somebody could be, really, really artsy. Yes, but usually what you do is you put the verb with an adverb as a tense, kind of how we talked about with the sentence structure. So we have a tense at the beginning, or with the comment we tack on a tense adverb. Tense adverb. So we have tense with time adverbs. So yesterday is a tense, right? Tomorrow is a tense. Today is a tense. So we're tacking that on. That right here, and these examples are doing it at the beginning. But you could say, me book read yesterday. Because it's a simple sentence, me book read yesterday. And then you're saying, I read yesterday. So you could say the whole sentence, yesterday, me book read. Okay? Or I could say, me book read yesterday. Now it's kind of partly in the present tense, but partly in the past tense. You follow that? I'm putting people to sleep. I can see it. It could be mind-numbing.
I'm visual.
It is.
But then you're
So, and the same thing with like me story right. Again, we could create the sentence with today, me story right, story. Or we could say, my story, I wrote today. So both will work because we're working with a tense we're adding as an adverb. So we can either put it at the front of the sentence, which means the whole sentence happened in the past, or we put the tense as an adverb onto the comment to mean just the verb happened in the past. All right? Then we have information-seeking questions. We've done that before, and we've done before and after signs. All right. So we're going to go back over our Roman. Anybody have any questions on that stuff? No?
I think when you break it down, it makes sense, like the position or the time. It just, I'm like, in my mind's eye, I have to say, now.
Mm-hmm.
And like, since I'm not fluent in that, I'm like, what's the sign, what's the sign?
Mm-hmm.
But when I'm like spelling, I'm like, I'm picturing A as L.
Yep.
You, it's second nature, so you're just,
No, not second nature yet.
wow.
It is not my. I mean, it's not my primary language, right? So, I do have those hiccups, and it does happen, especially when you're interpreting and you're trying to remember. You're trying to find a word they're saying to match a sign and a concept. So I understand. It gets.
I almost feel like a learner of ASL has to work with a learner of ASL. Because when I'm watching Ed, I'm like, what do you say? What do you say?
Yeah, but that is what's going to improve your skills.
Yeah.
Working with another learner, you're not going to improve your skills. You are both going to improve of the level of the best signer.
Yeah.
So at some point, you're both going to max out, and that's it.
Yeah. No,
So, watching her interpret is a good option. And because you can hear what he's saying, you can see what she's saying, and you can try to compare. And as signs become more familiar to you, then it starts to get easier and easier to understand. And then you just say the word that she signed. As I'm watching, I just say the word in my head. What did she sign? Me, books, read yesterday. Oh, so she read the book yesterday. I don't need to change it back in English. Yeah, I just say the words in my head that she's signing, and then when I get to where I can do that easily, and then you watch, read book yesterday. She read the book yesterday. Then I can change it in English and voice it. But you don't have to worry about that so much when you're learning. Just watch what she's signing, or another interpreter online, you watch what they're signing, and try to figure out what the word is that goes with that. Or concept, right? Who did he set over there? Who was set over there? And then this, so that's the sign for help. It came from over there to over there, so that person helped that person. And yeah, it's going to take you a little bit, but that's going to start, you're going to start improving on that. All right, any other questions on that? And on role shifting, time tenses? No? No?
would it be possible to come along like when you're, if the teacher have another like Bible class?
Yeah.
Someone is done? Because like when I was learning English, I didn't know any English, so I had to start just by watching and observing and cartoons.
Yes.
And because how does somebody that only speaks English teach me who didn't know any English? Eventually you quickly know yes, no. And I remember sitting in class and they were going over names, but they were just sounds to me. Eventually I figured out Heather was not a boy. And by learning more language and observing more things.
And what I would recommend, there's a lot of online resources on Facebook, et cetera, like Silent Word Ministries. They do videos all the time where they have Bible stories, Bible lessons, all signed, or they interpret the preaching, all signed. You can there's Bruce Kelly which we showed one of his videos. He's on Facebook. He does a daily Bible devotion, 5 minutes long, all ASL. So it only takes, maybe 10 minutes, 15 minutes of your time to watch it and kind of and he does a lot of whispering in it. And so you can kind of understand sometimes what he's saying. And there's others that do the same thing. So I can put a list together of people that are pretty good, fundamental Baptist Bible, preachers that are all assigned. Pinellas Park, now he is a lot harder to understand, or he was for me, Todd. But he's a deaf guy from Washington, D.C., got saved, and now he pastors a deaf church in Pinellas Park, Tampa. And John Truffalo, he does some Bible study stuff. So there's a lot of options out there for Bible study and interpreting things. Jim Braceland does a Bible study right now. He is hearing, and he does it voice and sign at the same time. So he does some stuff. No, he's a lot better at English, but his sign will be slower to compare to what he could have done if he just turned his voice off. So yeah, you tend to go a little bit slower, but like John Barr does the same thing. Jim Braceland does the same thing. They're really good at it, where they can sign and speak at the same time. So as you watch it, you can hear what he's saying and see his sign at the same time, and it'll kind of help with those things. So I'll try to put a list together for you of resources. And Silent Word Ministries has a website. They have a lot of stuff on there. I think they have videos on there too. And they're actually putting together a gospel-focused cartoon where everybody in it signs ASL. Everybody. And he says it's been a lot of work because you know how you draw, and all of those are layers. So even just this, layer. Yes. And so they're animating with a computer. Somebody's drawing it, and then they're putting those layers on top of each other in the right places. Then you find sometimes where the guy drew it just slightly. So now it's going, and so now they have to go and edit that. So all that kind of work, they're almost done with it, but they put a lot of work into it. But it looks really good. It's kind of cool. So you like cartoons? We'll have some sign language cartoons coming out soon. You can watch those. Romans Road. You guys ready? We're going to go over it again. This time, I'm going to say it, and I'll let you guys sign it. You guys ready for that? All right, so what was the first Romans that we did? No. 3:23. Romans 3:23. All right, so everybody ready? You're right. Romans chapter 3, chapter 3. Yep. Because this is counting, this is like an address. Chapter 3, verse 23. For all have sinned, and then finish, and come short. Very good. Come short of the glory. Remember we just said glory of God. God. Very good. All right, so good. Very good. I didn't see you at all. I'm sorry. I'll look next time. Did you get it? Okay. So that was pretty good. Very good. You didn't have really very little help from me. You did a good job. All right, so now Romans 6:23. So Romans chapter 6, verse 23. Very good. For the wages of sin is death. And then remember hell. Yeah. But, remember the sign for but? But the gift of God is eternal life through, very good, through Jesus Christ, our Lord. Very good. All right, and now Romans 5:8. That's 9, right? And that's 7. There you go. That is 7. Oh, there you go. That's better. But God commendeth his love toward us. Now, remember, we already did that. So now we just say us. Because this is committed toward us. We've already said all that. So, but God commendeth his love toward us, love. So commendeth his love toward us, love. Us. Or us, I'm sorry. It's us. This is in that, while, from the shoulder, going forward. While we were yet sinners, Christ died for. Now, this is for. So this means in place of. Because that's what we're talking about. This is for, like the word F-O-R, but the concept is he died in our place. For us. Us. Because that's me. He died for me, which is also true, but not the verse. Us. All right, very good. Very good. You guys are doing a good job. Next week, you'll be ready to practice on each other. Yes? Yeah, right? He's just... All right. Romans chapter 10, verse 13. 13. Chapter 10. So this is 10, yep. Verse 13. Very good. For whosoever, so whosoever shall call, so call upon the name of the Lord. You don't have to say of. You say name, Lord. Shall be saved. Now, technically in ASL, you don't have to do this because this is a helping verb, right? Are, be, was, were. But because it's Bible, the word's there, I like to make sure the word's there. So in other cases like for, where we did this, it's what the word meant, right? So this is, for is just a word for sign language. It means this is for you. So I'm giving you something, right? So this is for you. So in sign language, when you say for, that's kind of what you're saying, right? But in the Bible, when he's saying he died for you, he's not he gave you a gift. That would be his gift is for you. But when he died for you, the idea is he died for you. It means in your place. So some we change it a little to understand what the concept is, and some we keep specific helping words, et cetera, in there. Of won't make any sense. It's not even a sign, it's just spelling. And so when we, sometimes we can, but we don't necessarily have to, and it might be a little confusing if we start throwing all the ofs in there and ye's. I would say use your judgment on those kind of things. If it's important to the sentence, leave it in, right? And that especially with Bible.
Can I actually say more like
It's crossed, saved. So the concept you're showing is that your chains are gone. Your bindings have been broken. You've been freed. Saved. Now, you can also sign saved in a neat little way. What happens when you get saved, right? What happens? Yes, but what happens to your heart? We always ask people, Jesus is going to come into your heart, right? Would you like to ask Jesus into your heart? So we sign that, when you get saved, Jesus comes to live within your heart. So how do we sign that? Saved. So this is a cross. So you got to make sure it looks like a cross. There you go. And so Jesus comes into your heart. So the cross is now in my heart. And so it's a nice little, so when you're saved, because this sign here also means to be saved from a wreck, to be saved from drowning. People use this not for just salvation, but for the idea of being saved, right? So when we say, I saved, I said, Jesus is in your heart. So that's the salvation I'm talking about. All right, so any questions about the verses? Everybody seemed to have it pretty good. Yeah? All right. I guess we'll go ahead and finish up a little early today. Well, not really early, but we'll finish up now and we'll pray and we'll dismiss and we'll see you guys next week. Heavenly Father, God, I thank you again for tonight. I thank you for the opportunity we had to come together and to learn ASL and all the different parts of the time and timeline and tenses and tense adverbs and role shifting. All it's very convoluted, it seems, and very complicated. But Lord, you are God, and you're in control of our minds and our hands and and you can teach us and you can help us learn this. I pray you, most importantly, that we'd focus on our verses, that we'd learn that, and that you'd be able to use it to reach more deaf people and make them feel welcome here at our church. I pray, Lord, that you'd be glorified in Jesus'